Senior Fellow of the VeraSage Institute. 12 minutes, Matthew. Use them wisely. You're all ready.
Hey. Start with the top quiz. Good. Thank you very much. A story and a little bit of a journey. For those that don't know anything about me, my main claim to fame for many years was billing 3,000 chargeable hours a year every single year for about 5 years ago. Basically, didn't make any of them up. I didn't know that you could make them up. Our recruitment policy, if you've not heard this one, is what's the definition of, what's the difference, I should say, between a good lawyer and a bad lawyer? A bad lawyer makes cases last for years and years and years. A good one, even longer. This bloke called Paul Dunn, and that is a very unnerving. I haven't been that close to it. What did John stick up here? Changed my life, and I burnt the time. We burnt the timesheets a few years ago, and it's been a bit of a journey since then. I may be famous for some other things. About this time, 18 months ago, so in April, I'll let you pick the date. In April, we released an app that was plugged into your smartwatch. It was able to track your all of your thoughts and automatically convert that to a chargeable unit on the right client file. A big law firm that I won't mention contacted me and said, "Can we get in seriously, didn't want to make it up." And when I pushed back and said, "Did you realise the date of the release of our product, which was the 1st of April, they still pushed back again and escalated it inside there. Cannot make this stuff up. My other main claim to fame is in relation to 101 of the greatest ever lawyer jokes. This I think, is my most favourite photo. This particular accountant read it on the toilet every morning. And so for those of you who know about time shifts, as another app that we were involved in, it just brings a whole new meaning to our journey. Our last probably big claim to fame was that we are allegedly the first virtual law firm in Australia, possibly the world. I think actually we were just the first law firm to get rid of the fax machine. It was only a couple of years ago as well. So what was our journey? So we came out of Big Law, we were there for sort of 15, 16 years, maybe a little bit longer. Decided that our business plan was basically the exact opposite. So the first thing we did was get rid of timesheets. In fact, the only thing that we kept in that journey was Employee of the Month. We've grown a little bit since then, but we've done so, we think, on the basis of a couple of really simple principles. And we deliberately wanted to put this in here, one, to give you an insight to where we're at on subscription, and the disclaimer there is we've not really got it right at all, but we're having a red hot go across a number of areas. But also to be a little bit of a lead into what Melissa's going to take us through this afternoon, which is using foundational principles to hopefully allow us to all just think a little bit differently about how we want to do things. So the rules are for us, the first what we call, and these are all made up, the rule of 1-1-90, and that's effectively the idea of saying what is a minimum viable product. So what is it inside our organisation that we can have one throat to choke, so that's the first one. We can have only one project at a time, but we're actually live in the marketplace within 90 days and actually monetising that. And I want you to hold that forward as we talk about what a subscription model might look like for all of us, starting potentially next week. The second rule to overlay on that is what we call the rule of 1-5-35, again, completely made up. And that is the rule inside our place that you can do whatever you like. You can take Wednesdays off every Wednesday if you want. You can do whatever you like as long as you satisfy the following three tests. First, you've got to be able to do stuff in a second or less. So that's the rule of one. You've got to be faster than you can do. Second, you've got to be willing to work for $5 or less an hour, because that's what they're doing in India, and you're getting PhD students for that sort of investment. And thirdly, you've got to be willing to work 35 hours in any 24-hour period. And the reason for that is because of the global workforce. If you're starting in New Zealand and you come to Australia and you're up into the Philippines and then across to India and then to the US, in any 24-hour block, you've potentially got 35 hours of return.
Not if you go the other way around.
Awesome call. And the last one, not mine, this is the Elon Musks and the Googles of the world, but the rule of 7-11-4. So this idea that in order to create engagement in our eyes and what we're actually doing, we need to have 7 hours of completely free content and not glib content. We actually want our best value, our highest value content, 7 hours of that's available on 11 different occasions in 4 different medias. So that doesn't mean I've got a Facebook account and a LinkedIn account. That means that I've got books, I've got white papers, I'm willing to get up and share the story. And we reckon if we use all of those, and we also listened to Tim Williams this morning, we're actually specialised beyond the level, that we're just famous for one thing, then maybe that's the foundations to start really changing and moving towards value pricing 2.0. Or we were not allowed to have the VeraSage conference and you're allowed to wear a VeraSage t-shirt unless you can weave in Monty Python. We need to think a little bit differently. And there's prizes for everyone that can pick those differently. Now, what does that all mean in a practical sense? Well, the first thing is we would argue that you've got to have a little bit of a tribe. And for those of you that know anything about the Cranksky sisters, Google it. I've got the video, we may not have time to play it today, but they are a tribe. And they are unbelievably good at this next piece here, which is what we sort of loosely internally refer to as McDonald's marketing, but in other words, creating a funnel to get people interested in the product. And we'll see in a moment why we argue that subscription rule that just has to be part of the businesses, regardless of whether we believe what they've told us or not. We really want to believe, or see others believe, that this is part of an ecosystem. So we've spoken about free and starting at the top, and if you use the Cranksy sisters, if you Google Cranksy sisters, the content is unbelievable. Some of their funniest content is available for free on YouTube. And then if you turn up to their live show, they've got product. Primarily tea towels, but they've got product, right? As to do we have product. So there's a
tea towels.
Exactly. We've then got the ability to go into our core product, which for them would be live shows. For us, you fill in the blanks. But then after that, we start then looking at all the things that Tim was starting to walk us through this morning as well. So what are the versions of our products? What are the options? What are the choices that we create? Do we have tiers? What is our value proposition? And, of course, we would argue, how can I become a member of your tribe? We will share these slides as well if they're useful. Another pop quiz. Now for us, it started on some really basic things. You may have noticed I stand for basically the whole day, as do I at home and at work. So the science behind standing is one example, where working is unbelievable. And I'll throw that out there as one thing to do to be thinking about. If you're like me and you start that just in meetings, that's pretty cool. Standing meetings, really good way to make sure meetings are focused. That, I would argue, is really 2018, because where we're at, without this, you might go again, I don't really like meetings. So the meeting only lasts as long as it takes for the first person to collapse. Let me walk you through a few fails. This was our first run at subscription. Again, I'll get to these slides, you're not going to be able to read this, but basically what we did is take some of our biggest, most popular products, and we go back to these ideas that Tim was talking about, and tried to create it as a monthly subscription, and we're telling people, I think I've even got the D word on here, and I don't show this to Ron, we gave discounted value propositions, but the trick was for us that what we were actually just doing was taking a whole lot of things that required human involvement, making them heaps cheaper for the customer, and then we couldn't keep up with the demand. So it was just simply unscalable, and it took us a long time to work out that we were selling more and more subscriptions, and we were feeling more and more stressed by the whole process.
Can you give an example of one of the products that you've created?
Well, for us, our sole specialisation is estate planning, so one of the products was to get your estate plan done and then a review of that on a regular basis. And so we're allowing people to do that, and then if they want more subscriptions, they just put more people into that product. And we needed humans to actually go and deliver on that. So for our business, I think the light bulb moment out of that process was the impact of technology. And so what I'm going to do now in this last part is talk you through the impact of technology, but I'm going to do it with a really big filthy disclaimer, which is this.
Emma. Emma. Emma.
Now, this is only for, well, actually this is for Melissa because she's just prepping us for what we're going to go through next. Do not leave in the break. The second thing this is for Liz and David. Now, I know you didn't know you were going to be part of VeraSage. This is the, just beware tonight as the night degenerates.
That's part of the goodie bag we haven't received yet, is that right?
Now, is that, you said you were getting 2 minutes?
Well, but you were behind the veil.
Ah, lucky I'm about to finish. So, what have we actually done? I'll give you the 2 things we've actually done. Our most successful part of our business was selling productised trust documents and estate planning documents. We put that into a technology platform that has taken us from using those to the extent of about 10 to 15 a day. We now do over 3,000 a day on all-you-can-eat subscription model. The only way we've been able to do that is to merge with the business called Infinity, which is a technology company. The second thing that we've done, and I'm happy to share as much as is useful in this, is that we've taken all of our other intellectual property, so webinars, white papers, books, blog posts, closed communities, and turned those into membership communities. And so this is content that all of you will have, and it's a question of how to do it. And all of these things, whether it be WordPress, MemberPress, all of these things are direct plugins on the subscription probably that you can all buy off the shelf and just implement into our own businesses very, very easily. I've got some flyers to show you on this just to give you a sense of this, and we spoke earlier the numbers are irrelevant, but for our offering we're doing access on a tiered basis to this intellectual property that we previously gave away for free. So we're trying to monetize that on one level, but we're trying to make this highly exclusive across those sort of price points.
Give the penguin the hook.
So, very entertaining, but where did the joke stop and where did the reality begin? I don't quite understand what they do.
Advertise fairy penguins.
Let's go to the back and then let's go over here.
I can just talk loudly.
No. We're not on the mic. We're not on the tape. So. That is chastisement.
I'm interested how that fits with, back to what Tim Williams is saying around specialisation and, picking our segment of the market. Are you finding that, is it, you have a separate brand, if you are moving to that, technology-based service versus, you still want to probably attract the people with big estate planning issues. How do you sort of keep those 2 things in tension without ruining the potential high-touch, high-value sort of segment of your brand?
Are we answering or their questions for discussion? That's a whole day in itself, I think, to answer the 2 questions. I think if we took what Tim spoke about this morning, and if the question, the answer to or is and, would be the shortest way I'd say that. So for our business, it's not a matter of are we going to do high value or subscription, it's how can we monetize that. And the trick for us, everyone's got to ask the same question, the trick for us is that technology is the enabler to allow us to move down.
All right. We got some people over here. Here. And probably
Thanks very much, Matthew. The big thing that I took out of it was that business as we know it no longer exists, and we've got to be able to be brave enough to take the step to come up with a new iteration of ourselves, test it. If it fails, that's not a bad thing, that's a learning, and so we have to learn through that and take on all the lessons that gives us. Very dangerous, very challenging, but that's the the world we live in today.
Justin, I think. And I think there's another lesson. Thank you for that, Matthew, by the way, it's great. Another lesson, and that is, we all need, you're right, there's never been a time like this in business, and so one of the things we need to do, which Matthew did, is to look for other people with whom we can partner. Some other people who've already got that marketplace that we can then move into. And you heard the numbers, Matthew's gone from, what was it, 30 a day to 3,000 a day. And that's just happened because of the partnerships, essentially.
Beautiful. More time for
More